Evening, everyone. It's Friday night. It's almost 8 o'clock here. Got my second cup of coffee already. I'm going to try and stay up late, get some studying done for my Security Plus, and try to get a lot accomplished this weekend. And hopefully by Christmas, get plenty accomplished and be well ahead of the game and really know the stuff to really pass that exam in January. And then hopefully after I pass my exam in January for Security Plus, I want to move back into the CCNA exam. I started that at the beginning of the year, doing the CCNA, getting into it and everything like that. But I was lucky enough to win a free voucher to pay for my exam for Security Plus. So I put the CCNA on hold and I focused on the Security Plus and hopefully make good use of that voucher. Now, another thing is a lot of people talk about how to get into cybersecurity, how to get into cybersecurity, how to get into cybersecurity. Everybody gives their two cents input and how to get into it. They list sites, they list this, they list that, and it goes on and on and on. Everybody's got their own thing, to each to their own, and everything like that. Everybody's going to have their own story and how they got into it, what they had to do, and you really can't put it on to you on how you're going to get into IT or cybersecurity. You may not have to do as much as anybody else did. It may go easy for you. It depends on what you do and how you want to get into it and what you want to get into and where you want to focus your studies on and get into cybersecurity. Now, for me, I think there's a difference. There's IT, which is information technology, and cybersecurity. IT, to me, is more of the building of the network, and cybersecurity is protecting the information, the data, as everybody calls it, on that network as it is processed and goes through the network. And to me, that's what I think is the difference. A lot of people don't talk about IT, they talk about cybersecurity, and they kind of culminate it all into one when they talk about that. When they talk about routers and switches and how this works and how websites open up and this and that and the other thing and how to do all that. So they kind of combine the two together, but to me it is kind of a different thing. Now for me, I want to get into more of the IT stuff for the networking, but like I said, I got the Security Plus voucher, so I'm going to pass the cybersecurity Security Plus voucher on that. Now, getting back into, I'm not into IT. I'm not in IT. I don't work in IT. I'm looking to get my first job in IT. I've done, over the years, I've read through Network Plus, I've read through A Plus. Just recently, I started getting back into the CCNA, and I put that on hold, as mentioned earlier. So once I get my Security Plus, then I'll get back into that. But for me, that's what I like, is the IT stuff, which is why I want to get back into the CCNA and really learn that kind of stuff and get into it. The thing with the CCNA is that I experienced is it takes a lot of time to get into it. Mainly, it's a lot of hands-on through Cisco's Packet Tracer, which is free. You can download it out online, and you do a lot of hands-on stuff. You're going through networks. You're seeing how this works, how that works, and you can mess up. You're not going to hurt anything. If you error or anything like that, they talk you through it and everything like that. There's lab books that you can go through. Cisco's got a lot of stuff for free that you can go through. That's another thing that comes up when trying to get into cybersecurity is cost. There's a lot of reputable resources out there that are free, or Udemy has a lot of sales courses by these same instructors who do this stuff, and it's cost almost nothing. You can get a great deal a lot of times on Udemy to go through this stuff. Now, getting into it, to each their own, everybody on how they do it and stuff like that, but the thing that always comes up in getting into cybersecurity are just a few certificates, and then you go from there on what you want to do and everything like that. But you don't have to study to get the exam taken or to get the certification. You can just read through these manuals, study on your own time, and just learn the knowledge and do the hands-on stuff. That's a big thing, from my understanding, is doing the hands-on, learning how these networks and how this works, and showcasing that online. Hey, I learned this today, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I'm learning this, I tried this didn't work. Even your mistakes, show your mistakes and what you're failing at and stuff like that, because somebody may reach out to you and show you what you're doing wrong, or they may point you in the right direction to how to do that. So I'm going to show you some books here that I have that are the basics and the basis of getting into cybersecurity that comes up all the time on how to do it. So the first thing is this. This is one big book here. This is A+. This book here, you can see right there, A+. This is where everything starts. This is by, who does this? This is by Quentin Doctor and John Bunguar, I think is the name. But look at the size of that book. Now, the thing with the A+ is it's 2 exams, 1101, 1102. One of them focuses more on the software, another one focuses more on the hardware. But you have to pass both exams. Now, you don't have to do it at the same time. You can take one, pass it, and then, a month or 2 later, you can go back and take the other one. You still got to pay for both of them, though, to get the whole certificate that you passed A+. But you can work at your own pace and study it and learn it and go through that practice exams, practice questions, and everything like that to learn how to do the A+. That's usually where everybody wants to start and do it and everything like that. But like I mentioned earlier, you don't have to study it just to get the exam and get the certificate. You can just study it just to know the stuff. You can go through the practice and read it and stuff like that and go from that and just take on that. This right here is a labs book. Now, if you look up 101 Labs online, they've got several books that cover a lot of stuff that I'm going to show you on here. And this takes you through, this will give you the hands-on for the CompTIA A+ certification. A lot of this, like some of these labs in here, they'll teach you VirtualBox, Windows Server. It goes right through and shows you. But the thing with these labs are, they don't teach you theory or anything like that with these books. What they assume is that you've already read, either passed your A+, or you're studying for your A+, or you've read the book, the study guide, some study guide for the A+. This way, now you can just go over here and do the hands-on, because if you don't understand the theory of it, you're not going to understand what they're talking about on here on how to do a lot of this stuff. Some of these, I mentioned Packet Tracer for CCNA. Here's a lab, Internet of Things, motion detection for Packet Tracer. And it just goes through, here's another one, network interface card. This goes through Packet Tracer. Here's another one for configuring a firewall and stuff like that. Here's another one for install a hub. Now, hubs aren't around anymore. They're outdated, but it still comes up on a Network Plus test. The same thing with bridges. They come up on a Network Plus test too. So a lot of stuff. But yeah, this book right here will give you the hands-on for the A+ exam. Next, after the A+, they recommend that you go to the Network Plus. Now, you don't have to follow this. My first certification will be Security Plus. I'm going right to that because for me, I've read through A+ in the past. I've read through Network Plus in the past. Not hardcore to really try to pass the exam. I've just read it and done courses and YouTube videos and stuff like that. So another thing too is I'll get to later on YouTube stuff, but here's the Network Plus book, this right here, and this is the newest one right here. This is by Todd Lamley. He does a lot of CCNA stuff and a lot of Cisco stuff, but he does the Network Plus stuff if you want to get into that. I don't have the 101 Labs for this book because I'm not going to really focus on the Network Plus too much because I want to get back into the CCNA. But the next one that I want to do is the Security Plus. Now, when you come through these, I got all my stuff right here, so I'm just going through it. Now, when you go through these CompTIA exams, the first thing you want to do is get the objectives. Go to the CompTIA website, look for the objectives for the exam that you want to do, and download them or print them out or anything like that. These are that right here, and it basically tells you this is for the Security Plus one that I'm working on right now. And it goes through and it lets you know what they're looking for on the exam. And a lot of it is acronyms and stuff like that that you got to know. You got to understand the wording, and you got to understand the words and everything like that on what this stuff means. So first thing you do for any of these, get the exam objectives. Make sure you're getting, another thing that I've done too is I look at the launch date of the exam, and usually it's 3 years from the launch date, but usually you have about 6 months after to take the exam on that kind of thing. But another thing with that I learned too is, um, even if it's getting close to the end of life for the exam date and before they start a new one, say you pass the exam and 4 months later that exam expires and they've moved on to the new one, your certificate is still good for 3 years. So you don't have to go take it in another 4 months or anything like that. You're good for 3 years. So that's something to look at. And as I started saying, when you look at these things, make sure you've got the most recent one on that. What I do is I look up to see when the launch date is and when the expiration date is, and I go from there. The Security Plus one, like I said, I got a voucher for that, so that's why I'm taking that. But the Security Plus one will be the first one that expires. And then the A Plus, the newest A Plus just came out, and I think the Network Plus, I think you still have a year and a half or 2 years or something like that still on that. But again, the expiration on your certificate is 3 years from when you passed. So keep that in mind. Another thing that I do is that I'm going to get into is Professor Messer is on YouTube. One of the best that everybody will tell you, start with him. He will be the first name that comes out of everybody's mouth when you ask about what do I want to study for, A Plus, Network Plus, or Security Plus. Professor Messer will always come up. He goes through study groups. He does this on YouTube, and he has notes that you can buy on his website, or you can just follow his course on his YouTube channel. And I always buy his notes and I print them out. So these are the Security Plus notes that I have here, which are pretty much, I have them separated between different objectives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have them separated here. I have the notes here and read on that. So, but the thing with that is, make sure you read the study guide, and then it's easier to follow along with his notes on that. Certification guides for the Security Plus, there's many of them. Now, these are just the books that I use. You can do research on Google or LinkedIn or anywhere and try to find out what's affordable for you. These books here really don't cost that much. The YouTube channel is free, and if you go on Udemy, Udemy's running deals all the time where you can get the entire course for $11.99, $14.99, maybe $15 or something like that you can get when they run these specials. Another thing with that too is, I think what happens is, if it's only for new students. So I think what happens is, say you're going for the A plus, and then you decide, okay, a month or so down the road you want to buy the Network Plus one. I don't think you can get, it'll tell you when you go to log into your site, it'll tell you only for new students or something like that. So that's just something to keep in mind too. Now you can create another account. You can just use another email account and log in under that, start a new account, and then you can get the service for that under a new student thing. So the Security Plus, here's another name that comes up. Now for Security Plus, usually 2 names come up for that. Again, Professor Messer is another one that comes up for CompTIA, A Plus, Network Plus, or Security Plus. This one here is Ian Neal. His book here, he walks you through everything on a very good basis, a very understandable basis, and really helps you. A lot of people have passed his exam, passed the Security Plus exam using this book here. He also has a website with a bunch of flashcards, which I'm planning on going through tonight, and I usually go through and try to get that stuff done. But this is his book here, Ian Neal, for Security Plus exam. Another name that comes up is Mike Myers. That's his book here. This is for Security Plus as well. He's another name that comes up a lot too. like I said, when you're going through these sources and everything like that to look, all the time there's just going to be a few that come up. Like I said, Professor Messer will always come up for CompTIA exams. Mike Myers is another one that will come up for that. On Udemy for these type of things, for Network Plus, Security Plus, and A Plus is Jason Dean. He's another name that comes up. So when you look at it all, he's got Udemy courses that are pretty fairly priced when you can get them on deals and stuff like that. So look that into Udemy and everything like that. So going back with the names that I've mentioned was Professor Messer, always comes up. Ian Neal for Security Plus. Todd Landley for Network Plus. And Mike Myers for also the CompTIA stuff as well. Jason Dean as well for Udemy courses and everything like that to go through. Now, for Security Plus, I do have the 101 labs for this, for the thing in there. Now, with this walks you through. The thing with this book is, like I mentioned, when you go through the objectives, you want to know the objectives and follow through and understand and break it down. And it's real good when you follow these, like when you follow Professor Messer, he goes down the line with the objectives. You can follow along with the objectives, with his notes, and follow along on his YouTube channel. And it breaks it down real nice. You can take notes, you can stop it, it's free. You can work at your own pace and do all this. Same thing when you buy courses on Udemy. You can work at your own pace. There's questions at the end of every exercise. There's questions, and it comes up and lets you know whether you passed or failed, and gives you the right answer. It's not pass fail. It doesn't really matter. It just lets you know. Usually it's 3 or 5 questions. It'll let you know if you got it right or wrong at the end, and it'll let you know what video to go back and watch again, and it'll give you the right answer at the end of that. Coffee's getting cold here. I'll probably have about 2 more of these before the end of the night. I'm going to try and stay up late. But the thing with these labs are, like I mentioned with the A plus one, this one here is for Security Plus. This one here, Objective 4, the very first one, 4.1, mentions a lot of tools. And I broke it down and went through here and followed along here. I haven't done the labs yet. I'm going to try and get a few through here this weekend as well, hopefully Sunday or tomorrow night or something like that. But what I did was I looked it up in here, and usually what it is with the objectives, the first 30 labs on this book cover 4.1 objective in the Security Plus objectives. And this is a lot of Kali Linux. You can download that on your laptop, Kali Linux virtual machine and stuff like that, and it walks you through on here. Again, like I mentioned, with these lab books, they're assuming that you're studying for the Security Plus, and you're either watching a YouTube channel, or you're taking a course, or you're reading a study guide and reading through it and everything like that, so you can understand the labs better, because they don't do theory. They sometimes explain a little bit in these books, but not too much. So a lot of these things are using ipconfig to view and modify network information on Windows, and it gives you the purpose of the lab, so it gives it a little description of what it goes, but it walks you through and lets you know so you can visually see what goes on. But like I said, this is all Kali Linux. There's some Windows in here. Let me see if I can find something else. Yeah, most of it. There's some packet tracer that comes in here. I don't know which labs it are, but like I said, when I looked at Objective 4.1, the first 30 something labs of this, in between there, between 1 and 30 of that book, cover every tool that's on the objective for that exam for Security Plus. Now, that covers CompTIA. Going on to CCNA. CCNA is basically, it's always been compared to Network Plus. The difference is CCNA, my understanding, has a little bit more bite in the industry than Network Plus does. And the other big difference is Network Plus, it gives you a broad stream of a lot of networking and a lot of different scenarios and stuff like that. The thing with CCNA is it's basically all Cisco equipment. It's focused on Cisco equipment, which my understanding as well too is Cisco holds the network out there overall of everything else. There's a few other companies that have equipment out there in the real world and everything like that, but the dominant force is Cisco. So CCNA. These are the books that I got. This one always comes up. This is Wendell Odom. You can buy these on Amazon. There's a 1 and 2 volume for that of this that you can get for that, and this is the thickness on that. This is volume 1. A lot of this, the way to do this is going through Packet Tracer and go on Google, learn the Cisco stuff, and go through that. They break it down real nice on a plan and everything like that on your study guide and everything. And here's volume 2. Like I said, this is a smaller one here. Now those books come together. When you go on Amazon and you order those books, you'll see it comes in a little box, and you can get both of them together. Also, CCNA has an objectives thing. Not as big as the CompTIA stuff, but there are objectives for the CCNA, and it breaks it down. Like I said, CCNA is mainly a lot of hands-on with Packet Tracer. Read the study guides, but you're going to be spending a lot of time on Packet Tracer, learning how these networks go, and they break it down real nice on there. They make it simple with the drag thing. You could drag a router down, you could drag a switch down, you could drag a computer down, and it shows you on there. You can practice how to do this, how to set up an email, when the email travels through and stuff like that, what it looks like. You can look at the routers, look at the MAC addresses, look at the IP addresses and stuff like that. It breaks it down real nice. Now, a name that comes up and will get you your CCNA, and I can't guarantee it'll get your CCNA, but the name that comes up for the CCNA, David Bumble, Bombal. He's got Udemy courses too. Like I said, look on Udemy for a lot of these courses and try to get the deals for this kind of stuff. But David Bumble is the name that comes up for CCNA. He breaks it down real nice. Another one is on YouTube. He's got a free course on YouTube, Jeremy's IT Lab. Another great resource for CCNA. If you can combine these two and study with this Wendell Odom study guide for your CCNA, that's all you need, and it doesn't cost much at all. Like I said, Jeremy's IT Lab on YouTube has a free course you can follow through. He explains it real nice with examples and stuff like that, and again, you can watch it at your own pace. If you don't understand something or anything like that, you can go back and rewatch the video. The study guides, buy them. They don't cost much or anything like that. Same thing with the CompTIA study guides and everything like that when you go through all them. But again, these are just a few resources that you need that are cost effective and affordable, and you work at your own pace. You work at your own time. Now the thing with the CCNA, and if you go through CCNA, you can go on Jeremy's IT Lab, and when you watch it, one thing that he talks about is Anki. It's an app, and what that is it's flashcards for CCNA, and you can download it on your phone, and you can go through flashcards, and you can study while on the go. He shows you how to download that in his lab. How I found out about the Wendell Odom books for CCNA is I started taking David Bumble's course on YouTube. I think he had a YouTube course at the time. He may, excuse me, he may still have it, and that's what made me get those books to do that. So again, get those objectives, and even if you're studying for this stuff, you don't have to study it to take the exam. Just go through, find your niche, find what works for you. If you start going through Network Plus or anything like that, or anything, it may be difficult for you to do. The big thing with networking is the subnetting, doing the math and everything like that, breaking that stuff down, how to break subnets down, how to take IP addresses, convert them to binary, and vice versa. That's not too difficult, but it also has IP version 6, which a little different, got weird symbols and stuff like that going in there. That's a whole other different system for that. And you have subnets and stuff like that that have to break down on that. But David Bumble, Jeremy's IT Lab, they both explain that nicely. They both have their own system to do that and learn how to do that kind of stuff. And once you start doing that, it'll come to you very nicely. The CCNA books, the study guides, and everything like that, they do it real well. And Cisco walks you through it a lot, real nicely to go through all that. But again, going back to the initial reason for this video is, how do I get into cybersecurity? How do I get into cybersecurity? Comes up all the time. Everybody's going to have their own version. How you get into it is up to you. What are you looking for? What's in your area? Do the research. What's in your area. Security Plus may be big in my area, but if, say, you live in the Midwest somewhere, if you live in Ohio or Kansas or Nebraska or something like that, it may not be a big deal. Out there, A Plus may be a big deal. So go for the A Plus, and then you'll have it out there. Same thing for the Northeast. Up there, Network Plus might be big, or CCNA might be big up in the Northeast. That's not going to help you if you live in the Midwest, or you live down south, or out on the West Coast, or anything like that. So do your research, look in your area, see what's at, and just go through and see what is works for you. That's the best way to get into cybersecurity. That's my advice to you on how to get into cybersecurity, and what I think and what works for me is how to get into it. And it's a tough gig, because there's a lot of people that want to get into it. I see it on LinkedIn all the time. How many people are passing Security Plus? How many people are passing the CompTIA exams? How many people are passing these exams? How many people are taking these exams? How many people are studying for these? It's a big audience. Another thing is, you've got to stand out. And like I mentioned earlier in the video, you have to showcase what you're doing. You can't just say, well, I read chapter 6 tonight on subnetting, or I read chapter 9 yesterday for this, or anything like that. Go through the practice exams, go through the questions, go through the review questions, and get those lab books and follow through. Do some labs. Do a video on you doing a lab, setting up a mail server, or configuring DNS, or configuring this or configuring that. Do a short video of you doing it and talking through it, and let somebody know. And then maybe you could do that on a weekly basis. Last week you did a mail server and you set that up, and this is what I learned from that. This week maybe you did a DNS server, and this is what you did, and you could explain on there, okay, well, I messed this up and I couldn't figure this out, and finally I caught this. Put that in the video. Show them that, because you know what that did? What that does is that shows somebody watching troubleshooting. You figured out how to do it. Google is another big thing. People are always on Google, how to do this, how to do that. Try Hack Me is a site. There's a free version. You don't get too much on it, but another thing too, it's affordable. $10 a month. Try Hack Me. You get hands-on experience for that. They have a path that you start out on, and they walk you through on how to do the hands-on stuff, pre-security, and it works you all the way up into different things. Another great site to do that is Try Hack Me. What I'll do is I'll put the links in the video on where all this stuff is and everything like that. Any other questions or anything like that, put that in the comments. And I've done all the research. I've got everything. I've got all the resources I need to pass the exams. Now, like I said, I just want to pass the Security Plus exam, then move right into the CCNA. That may not be for you. Maybe you want to start out the A Plus. Get your A Plus exam and go from there. That's great. That's what a lot of people do. They start from that, and that gets you a lot of help desk stuff and a lot of this and a lot of that. I'll put a lot of links in the bottom for a lot of stuff, for the YouTube, for the Udemy, and everything like that, for the books, and try to get you started on that. So have a great weekend. Have a great holiday. And what I'm also going to try and do is I'm going to try and do some labs this weekend, or next weekend around the holidays, for the Security Plus, for the section 4.1 that I mentioned, and go through some of these labs and do some videos, and just to give somebody an idea on how these things are and what they look like and what these lab books do and everything like that. So again, have a great weekend, have a successful weekend, and stay in touch.